At my son's wedding, my daughter-in-law leaned in close and said loud enough for the nearest table to hear, "Try not to embarrass us today, you pig." The words landed like a slap. People smiled like they hadn't heard. My son looked away like he had. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. This wedding wasn't just a celebration. It was a test. And someone wanted me to fail. Maria didn't arrive in a limousine. She arrived alone, stepping out of her regular taxi in a simple dress she had paid for in installments. The wedding venue glowed like a palace. Crystal lights, white roses, a wall of champagne. It looked like money. But Maria knew what it really looked like. It looked like overtime. It looked like night shifts. It looked like the years she wore the same coats so her son could have a better one. She had raised David by herself after his father died when David was 6. She had kept her grief quiet the way mothers do when they don't have the luxury of falling apart. She worked 2 jobs. She learned to stretch soup for 3 days. She saved every spare note in a tin behind the flour. When David got into a good university, Maria cried in the kitchen so he wouldn't see. When he graduated, she sat in the crowd and clapped until her palms burned. And when he told her he was getting married into a powerful family, she was proud. She was proud because she believed it meant he would finally be saved. She had paid for the wedding because she wanted him to start his life without debt. Because she believed mothers should carry the weight so their children don't have to. Maria walked into the hall with her head up. Then she noticed the looks, not curiosity, calculation, like people were trying to place her in a box. Poor, convenient, insignificant. She smiled anyway, because today was not about her, or so she told herself. Before we go further, if you've ever been judged by your clothes, your accent, your age, or your bank balance, type "I understand" in the comments. Maria didn't know the first insult would come from the one person she tried hardest to welcome. The seating chart told Maria everything. The front tables were packed with the bride's relatives, directors, investors, people with loud watches and louder laughs. Maria's name was printed near the back. Table 19, beside strangers. An usher guided her there like it was normal. Maria sat down carefully, smoothing her napkin across her lap. She refused to look offended. Across the room, the bride, Emily, smiled at guests like she was born into spotlights. Her mother hovered beside her, inspecting details. Her father, Richard Hale, walked around shaking hands as if this wedding was a business deal. Maria watched David. He moved through the room stiffly, laughing when other people laughed, nodding when his new family spoke. When he passed Maria's table, his eyes flicked to her, then away. The first cut, small, but it stunk. A few minutes later, Emily approached. She held a glass of champagne like it was a trophy. She leaned down, kissed Maria's cheek and whispered, "Just don't do too much today, okay?" Maria blinked. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" Emily's smile stayed pretty. Her eyes did not. "You know," she said softly, "some people here are very high level. Don't make us look middle class." Maria felt heat rise in her face. She looked around. Did anyone hear? A woman at the next table smirked. Maria swallowed her pride like she had swallowed hunger for years. "I won't," she said. Emily's smile widened, satisfied. Then came the moment Maria would replay for weeks. During photos, the families were called forward. "Bride's parents, The photographer shouted. Applause. Brides! Siblings! Laughter. And the groom's mother. Maria stood up. Emily's mother stepped in front of her like a gate. Oh, she said, loud enough for the nearest guest to hear. We'll do the main family photos first. We don't want confusion. Someone snickered. Maria froze. David didn't correct it. He didn't say, that's my mother. He didn't say, she paid for this. He said nothing. Maria slowly sat back down. And that's when Emily leaned in and delivered the line that made Maria's vision blur. Try not to embarrass us today, you pig. Maria felt her hands tremble. Not from weakness, from shock. Maria went to the bathroom to breathe and overheard a conversation that changed the meaning of the entire wedding. In the bathroom, Maria stared at her reflection. Her eyes looked older than she remembered. Not from age, from carrying. She pressed a cold paper towel to her cheeks and told herself not to cry. Not today. As she stepped out, she heard voices in the hallway, muffled, rushed. Emily, her mother, and the man Maria recognized from earlier, Richard Hale. Emily's father. Maria stopped. She didn't mean to listen. But then she heard her own name. Once she signs, Emily's mother said. Richard replied, she'll sign. People like her always do. They're grateful to be included. Emily laughed. She's already paid for most of it. Mom, did you see her shoes? Maria's stomach tightened. Emily's mother lowered her voice. The real point is, Monday, if she thinks she's family, she won't question the paperwork. David needs her to cooperate. Maria's heart thudded. Richard said, if the auditors come, we need someone to point to, someone outside. The poor widow, perfect. Maria's breath caught. They weren't just humiliating her, they were setting her up. Her hands went cold. She backed away silently. And in that moment, Maria realized she had misread her son's silence. Maybe he wasn't ashamed. Maybe he was afraid to keep watching, because Maria's next move wasn't loud. It was surgical. But Maria had a secret of her own, and none of them had any idea what she had already signed. Maria didn't confront anyone at the wedding. She didn't throw wine. She didn't scream. She didn't make a scene like they expected her to. Instead, she went back to her table, sat down, and watched. Because Maria had learned something early in life. People show you who they are when they think you are powerless. And Maria wasn't powerless. Years earlier, after her husband died, Maria found a folder hidden in an old toolbox. Inside were shares, not in cash, in ownership. Her husband had worked for a small investment firm. Quiet job, quiet man. But he had believed in something. And before he died, he had left her a key she didn't understand. Those shares were tiny at first, but they were connected to a holding company, Hale West Holdings, a company that owned pieces of many other companies. Maria didn't tell anyone. She didn't even tell David. Not because she didn't trust him, because she didn't want money to become the center of their relationship. She wanted him to love her because she was his mother, not because she had power. So Maria learned. She reinvested, she saved, she bought more when prices dipped. She held her breath during downturns. While other people chased status, Maria chased stability. And last month her advisor called her. Maria, he said, you now hold controlling interest. She didn't celebrate. She didn't post it. She simply asked, what does that mean? It means, he said, you can appoint the CEO. Maria paused. Then she said, Appoint me. Her first day was Monday. No announcement, no press, just signatures. Maria looked across the wedding hall at Richard Hale laughing. He thought he was the king. He didn't know the throne had already been sold. But Maria's victory didn't feel like a victory when she realized the next file she opened would have her son's name on it. On Monday morning, Maria walked into Hale West headquarters. The lobby was marble. The receptionist smiled too brightly. "Can I help you?" Maria said calmly. "Yes, I'm here for the executive meeting." The receptionist hesitated. Then her phone rang. Her face changed. "Of course, ma'am," she whispered. In the boardroom, Maria introduced herself. "I'm Maria," she said. "I'll be leading this company going forward." Some men stared. Some women glanced at each other. Then the door opened, and David walked in. Maria's chest tightened. Her son was a director. He froze when he saw her. For one long second, the room was silent. Then he sat down and didn't look at her. Maria wanted to reach for him, to ask him why, to ask him if he was okay. But she was the CEO now, so she did what CEOs do. She opened the reports. The numbers didn't make sense. Money was missing, transferred, hidden. And then she saw the approval chain. David, her son, her hands shook once, just once. Then she steadied them. Because mothers can be soft, but they cannot be blind. Maria looked at David. He finally looked back. His eyes were pleading, not proud, not cruel, terrified. Maria realized the biggest twist wasn't Emily's insult. It wasn't Richard's arrogance. It wasn't even the missing money. It was this. Her son had married into a family that was using him and had planned to use Maria as the fall guy. And he had let it happen because he didn't know how to escape. Maria closed the file. She took a breath. Then she made her decision. Not as a CEO. As a mother, she said calmly, "We will conduct a full internal audit, effective immediately." Richard Hale's smile would disappear by lunchtime. Emily's family would call her by the wrong name for the last time. And David would finally learn what real protection looks like. Maria stayed seated long after the meeting ended. For the first time in her life, she wasn't wondering how to protect her son. She was wondering whether he deserved it. If this story made you uncomfortable, that's the point. If you've ever stayed silent to protect someone who wouldn't protect you, you're not alone. Subscribe for stories about quiet strength, moral choices, and the moment people stop being underestimated. If you want part 2 of this story, where Maria faces Emily directly and David must choose between marriage and truth, say part 2 in the comments.